Yes, my name is MTEBerendWinter. I work for University College in London, which has a laboratory in the North End. It's called the Mars Space Science Laboratory. And I work there as a mechanical engineer, and I also do some thermal engineering, which is predominantly it involves the design and development and manufacture, build and test of instruments for space missions. So the instruments I design together with other people, because it's a real team effort, like most engineering jobs are team efforts. But ultimately the things we build will fly on spacecraft and do science.
So what do you find most rewarding about the job that you have?
I think the most rewarding about the job is if you manage to do a very well-tuned, optimized design, which is part of the job of trying to design something for a spacecraft. It can be, quite often it has to be very mass efficient, so you try to save as much mass as you can. But at the same time it needs to be strong enough, or stiff enough, or it could be a thermal requirement, and quite often these requirements are conflicting. And when you come up with a design that meets all those conflicting requirements and still somehow manages to meet an optimum, and you subsequently test it after it's been built and it passes all the requirements, that is the best part of the job. So if it all comes together at the end and the tests are all successful and it doesn't fail, it's the best part, I think.
Can you tell us what you were interested in at school and what sort of subjects you chose to study which led to your job?
Well, I would say the way I ended up being in engineering is a bit not unexpected, but a bit roundabout. I was always interested in exact sciences, so I was always interested in physics and mathematics. And when I decided to try and go to university, when I applied for university, it's one of those things, it's a snapshot, and my main interest was mathematics, so I started to study mathematics and I finished that. But along with the pure mathematics degree, I also did some fundamental mechanical engineering degree. And the reason why I originally started with mathematics is because it's a very pure science. There's no ifs or buts or approximations. It's very straight, narrow, and quite elegant. And I think fundamental mechanical engineering has a similar appeal to it. After university, I did a research project for a Dutch company who was into space engineering. They developed solar arrays for spacecraft. And just by chance I ended up doing a project for them, and after that I had a short period in the Dutch army, because they still had compulsory service at the time, and after that I rejoined the company, and since then I've been working in the aerospace industry.
Now, have you travelled many places with engineering?
Definitely. This job in particular, space engineering, is very international. And so I would say it happens quite regularly. You have to travel within Europe, definitely. So if I take myself as an example, and I've been working in this line of work now for the past almost 20 years, and I spent time in the United States, Japan, and all over Europe. So it's taken me to lots of places, very interesting places as well.
When you're not working, what do you like to do in your spare time?
That has changed. I used to do lots of sports. I have a family now, so I like to really spend time with my children. And I like DIY. And other than that, there isn't much time left in the day for me at the moment. But no, I used to like to read a lot and puzzle, those kind of things.
Is there a single most significant moment or memory throughout your career that you see as being prominent and important to you?
Oh, there have been a few. When I think about things I helped to develop and build and design in the past, where I said earlier on that it's a good feeling when everything comes together and in the tests everything passes successfully. There have been a few tests because you do optimize the design to an extent that when you do the test, and you're quite often talking about mechanical tests where you put the instrument you've designed or the product you've designed on a shaker, and the shaker is not really trying to simulate a launch, but it's sort of enveloping launch loads. And those tests are extremely critical, and the most rewarding moment was that I knew that the test object only just passed the specification. It's absolutely minimal margin, and it was clear from the test results that the design could not have been any better. So it was as lightweight, as mass efficient as possible, and just stiff and strong enough. So that was, you don't reach that optimum point always. It's always something you have to compromise, but yeah, one time I managed. That was good.
Do you have one significant sort of engineer that to you stands out? I know that many aren't sort of really famous or anything like that, but in your line of work, or maybe not, do you have anybody that stands out?
Yeah, you wouldn't say in history many famous engineers. When I think about it, well, you can think of English. There are quite a few well-known British engineers, but since I'm Dutch, I'll stick to Dutch engineers. There are a few, but I think the one that stands out for me is Simon Stevin. And the reason for that is that he was a very good engineer. He was also a good mathematician. He was one of the first people to characterize, think about and define a thing called stability and instability and what it means mathematically. But more importantly, he was one of the first scientists and engineers, and in those days we're talking about the 1600s. People used to be or try to study or develop different disciplines, just like polymaths, what you call it nowadays. But in those days it was more normal. It was more the rule. But Simon Stevin was one of the first who did not publish in Latin, which was custom at the time. He insisted in publishing things in Dutch and in French actually as well, to make sure that whatever practical applications his inventions and his theories and his thoughts had would reach the people as quickly as possible. And for that, I like him.
Yeah. Brilliant. What type of person would you think is suited to being an engineer?
I think for many jobs, but it holds. But what is a suitable engineer to me? Good characteristic for an engineer would be well, you need to be creative. To be honest, I'm not talking about it could be about art, but for engineering, quite often you need to find a solution to a problem, and the solution may not be that straightforward. So yes, you need to think out of the box. But I would rather say you have to be very creative. So being creative is a good streak for an engineer. And being good at maths and physics also helps. That's undeniable, but you need to be creative.
What did you study at A-level, but you've just said you're Dutch, so did you do your studying in...
I think my A-levels may be best, well, when I think in the Netherlands, what we did at the time, in order to prepare for university in the Netherlands, you go to the equivalent of what used to be here the grammar school, and you had to choose 7 different subjects, and they were very specific. Nowadays the boundaries between mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology is a bit more blurred. But I did sort of the equivalent, I think, of A-levels in 2 math levels. Physics, biology, and 2 languages. So one of them was English, lucky for me, and the other one was Dutch.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That was absolutely fantastic.
Okay.